as a former U.S. attorney and also a state attorney general, I join my colleagues in the outrage they've expressed in being appalled and astonished by evidently a fairly common scam that involves victims from this country, seniors, being lured into drug transport schemes through various means that result in their being imprisoned abroad. So there are really two aspects to the relief that we want to provide. Number one, catch the scammers. Number two, seek the release of innocent victims who are not only financially potentially victims, but also in terms of their personal imprisonment. And I joined Senator Cotton in feeling that there ought to be remedies at the government-to-government level that would seek release of people who, under our own laws, would be acquitted because of lack of criminal intent. They may have been in possession of certain banned illicit substances, but under our own laws, they would be clearly acquitted because there's no strict liability in this country under our criminal laws. So if you can tell us, what are the countries where our citizens are in prison? If you have answered that question already, I apologize for asking you again, but maybe you can tell us.
I don't have that list with me. Spain, obviously where Mr. Martin is. New Zealand, although they've been very quiet.
I read that Mr. Solis, I think, is in...
Mr. Solis is now out.
He's out, but he was in New Zealand.
Yes.
Are there other Americans in New Zealand now in prison?
Not to the best of my knowledge, but I'd have to follow back on that. As I explained earlier, one of our challenges is with privacy laws in some of these countries, we don't necessarily know where that person stands in the prosecution phase. So oftentimes we're tracking whether the person's still in custody simply by can we
you mean
see if they've returned.
in those countries, trials are not open?
In some of those countries, that is correct.
Well, I know I don't want to put you on the spot today in this hearing, but I think one of the basic questions is what countries, how many U.S. citizens, and whether we can do anything about it, right?
Yes.
Because the solution is not a habeas corpus petition in those countries filed by their attorneys. For them, habeas corpus is a non-remedy, presumably, so we might as well be filing a ham sandwich in those countries. And at the government-to-government level, we need to know what the governments are, what the countries are, so that, as Senator Cotton has suggested, whether it's ministerial or presidential or whatever level, we need to free those Americans. So I'm making a request that you provide this committee on whatever basis you can, confidentially or otherwise, a list of those countries.
We will work on that. State Department also could probably provide you some pretty good answers on that because they have some more visibility on that once it gets to that phase.
And let me then pursue what I think has been another line of questioning here in terms of the scammers themselves. How many cases have been made against them?
We have, specific to Cocoon, there have been 15 persons tied to the transnational criminal organizations arrested and prosecuted, all of which were done overseas but in concert with my agency. And there are numerous ongoing investigations, which I'm not at liberty to talk about.
There are ongoing investigations, 15 individual defendants charged?
Correct.
And have they, what's the status of those prosecutions?
Some of those are still going through the legal process in the countries where they've been charged.
They haven't been charged in this country?
No, they have not.
Why not?
Again, it's simply an issue of where the best evidence
Why
lies.
haven't they been extradited? Why haven't they been charged in this country? Their victims are American citizens. Why are we, and I apologize for maybe stating this in non-legal terms, why are we counting on their justice system that is already imprisoning our citizens unjustly to exact justice for making those citizens victims? Why don't we extradite them? Why don't we charge them here? Why don't we prosecute them here? What's the point of investigating them if we're not going to prosecute them here?
In certain instances, there probably would not be sufficient venue in the U.S. If a person flies, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm a law enforcement officer, and there is a difference.
Okay, again, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I don't want you to speculate. And Ms. Steimer, you are a lawyer, so you may have another answer, so chime in if you wish. But also, I would like that information simply as to where the trials are taking place and some explanation for why it's not here.
We will get
Thank
you that, we will get you that information.